What's up, junkies? Welcome back in for another edition of Pigskin Junkies. Myself, Michael Larson, big brother Jared Larson, here to talk Week 13 of the college football season. I'm Ron Burgundy.
Sad.
One more week after this one, Jared, and it's all over. And then it's bowl season, but then that's all she wrote.
I know. It's gonna be another 8 months of torture before we're back.
And it was gone as soon as there is.
That's the way it always works. Leaves just as quick as it gets here.
Brutal. Which is confusing because if it leaves as quick as it gets here, it doesn't get here very quick. But it leaves fast. You know? Think on that.
Yeah, maybe I make no sense.
But that is the common saying for football season. Anyway, we are here to
talk. A lot of people say stuff that isn't true, Micah. Duh. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
This is true. All I'm saying is just a lot of very famous sayings make no sense when
nothing.
You actually break it down.
Yeah. Like defense wins championships? Wrong.
It does help, but you don't see Auburn winning a championship this year. They got a pretty darn good defense.
The best defense.
Yeah. So, I actually liked the card a lot this week, Jared. I normally, at this point, I would read off where we stand on everything. Truth be told, folks, I just moved. I don't know where that little Rolodex I had went, so that's what I get for
the 1997 journalism flip book.
Yeah, I like that little flip book. It was nice and easy in my hands, but
that's what she said.
Yeah, I know. But
earning my E tonight.
Yeah, that's not that bad. You've earned your E in way worse ways. Yeah,
this is true.
So, Jared, how'd you like the card this week?
It's okay. I mean, this is clearly the appetizer to next week with rivalry week. So, got a lot of directional and divisional schools playing some of the major programs, but there's still a couple good games in there. Pac-12, this is their rivalry week, so I think we'll see a couple good ones. I think we'll see some close games, but this is more of like a week 2 or 3 card than the week 13, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the Big Ten East being decided, it is there's not really much else outside.
Yeah, but that's it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Some games I think that could be sneaky though. If a lot of look ahead opportunity this week for bettors
Agreed
for the dogs to be barking. So do you want to go first, Jared?
Let's hope so. Sure. So I'm already on Georgia Tech tonight. That was tweeted out. Yep. It's currently 21-3 at halftime, or 20-3, I should say. I didn't see if they made the extra point or not. Okay, feel good about that. My first selection will actually be a Friday night game. So if you are listening to this on Friday morning or even on your drive home from work, as long as you don't live on the West Coast, I will be taking the Colorado State Rams in the border battle against Wyoming, plus 6.5. I've seen quite a bit from this team recently. This is a very little-known rivalry game. The two schools are separated by, I think, just like 120 miles. So very familiar with each other and very familiar with the terrain, the time of year, and the weather. So give me the Rams plus 6.5.
We got a head-to-head right off the bat on a Friday night. I like it.
Whoa.
I got Wyoming at home. This team has yet to lose at home, and they're not giving up a lot of points to anybody. The most points they've given up to anyone outside of Missouri in week 1, which, just a reminder, they won, folks. And pat on my own back, I did predict that. Secondly, they haven't given up over 17 points to anybody at home so far. So I like Wyoming in this one. It's going to be a knockdown, drag-out, ugly, cold football game. And I think just being at home in that beautiful brown and yellow, I like the Cowboys.
Wow, right off the gate.
Oh, yeah. Hot off the press.
Perfect. I believe I've won the last few head-to-head, so good.
It's still 3-2, I think.
Should tell you need to know, listeners. West Carolina. Plug your nose, boys and girls. The Catamounts plus 57.5 against the Alabama Crimson Tide. And Mac Jones. No Tua. I think this team had their heart ripped out last week with the losing him. I think that significantly impacts their playoff chances, and I don't see LSU, especially after LSU throttling Ole Miss last week. I don't really see a route for Alabama to get back in the playoff because of some of the Pac-12 teams that are coming through there. So demoralized. Obviously, this team will get the business done, and their backups are better than most starters at the Division I level. But 57 points is a heck of a lot. The defense has really struggled this year. This is not your prototypical Saban defense. I mean, the reason and the ability for them to cover these 50-plus point numbers in the past was that the other team literally didn't score. I don't foresee that happening this go-round here. So, the offense is a little bit better, but I think the Catamounts are going to be able to get on the board once, maybe even twice, and as a consequence, I will take the 57 points.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that. I think with Tua being out, Bama's season, they got next week to play for, and that's about it.
I think these poor bastards, Western Carolina, I feel like has played Bama like 6 times in the last 8 years.
Yeah.
Like, who keeps signing up for this? They must be getting paid so much money.
That'd be my assumption as well. I mean, at least we as in Auburn pay in-state schools that amount of money to try and help them out. Cough, cough.
That's true. Alabama State. I mean, yeah, we always do.
Yeah, try and keep it in the state instead of giving it to the Carolinas. Who needs that? Next game for me, I got Sikkim at home -6 against the Texas Longhorns. I am still impressed with this team. I think they're going to have a sick feeling in their stomach, but I just don't.
They puked it last week.
They did, but the season's not over. They can still get a revenge game against Oklahoma, right? Because Pac-12 still or Big 12 still doesn't have divisions, so it's just the top 2 teams. So it's not over. They can still get revenge on Oklahoma. Texas, despite what Ellinger said in the bowl game after they won the Sugar Bowl last year. Texas fans were back, is not back. The Herman underdog story is dead. Bury it. And I like the Bears in this one.
Yeah, I don't disagree. The only thing that stopped me from getting to the window last week or this week with them was just the fashion in which their hearts were ripped out at home. And I hope that we get that one again in the Big 12 title game because I think the 2 teams are pretty evenly matched. And I think it was just the weight of being at home and being undefeated and having the huge lead that allowed Baylor to kind of crumble under their own, choke under their own hands, unfortunately, last week. Game number 3, another nooner. West Virginia, Country Road, take me home.
Ooh.
They got blitzed the last time I bet on them, but in Morgantown, things get a little loose, a little weird. Gundy coming in, and as I said, the guy's name's not coming to me now, the stinking guy from Troy, the head coach. I really like the direction that this program is headed more on things like that later in the program, but I'll take West Virginia getting the 7 at home. I'm not a real believer in this Oklahoma State team.
Yeah, my fear with Oklahoma State is ball security. With a young quarterback, we've watched a couple games because we got family friends who are OSU grads, and those games have been just gut-wrenching because they've had a chance to win against a Baylor or they've been in games against big teams and have just kind of fumbled the football. So we'll see what happens with them. Football. Next up for me, I got UCLA taking on the Trojans at +13. Rivalry game. I feel like the spread
there's some 14s out there now.
Yeah, that's. I truthfully, I wish I would have gotten that, but I feel like the narrative of USC at home is still rather prevalent. But in this rivalry game, UCLA obviously has been a different team lately, and I just think 13 in a rivalry game is a little too much. So give me the Bruins +13.
I was thinking we were going to have a head-to-head there, but then you said UCLA, not UC Fast. Because I have Tulane +6.5. Said it once, I'll say it a million times. I'll say it again. I've been saying it for basically 5 years straight. This team has been living off of 2 really successful years and candidly 2 very good teams. And they are just not the quality that should be laying 7 points on the road to a very quality Tulane team that we saw earlier in the year. And I would expect to keep it tight. Early game, this one's going to be ugly. No real interest in UCF laying the 7 on the road. I think it will get to 7. It's at 6.5 currently. Go ahead and wait, and then grab the Green Wave at home against UC Fast.
The Green Wave.
That's right.
I like it. Next up, and this will be kind of a preview for gun to your head. I got a lot of gun to the head games, but I got Penn State. Similar reasons with UCLA, plus 18.5. I know Ohio State's been taking a lot of these teams to the woodshed. This is Penn State's season. This is Ohio State's season. I expect a knockdown, drag-out football game between these teams. So I felt like 18.5 was a little high. I know Ohio State's at home at the shoe, but I just think Penn State is a good enough team to score points on that Ohio State defense. I know that defense is truly phenomenal, but I think that offense is good enough. They played their worst game of the season against Minnesota, and so I feel like the public's going to react to that a little bit and think that Ohio State is this unbelievable, unstoppable giant. Also, Ohio State does have another big game next weekend, huge rivalry game, so I don't think they're going to be overlooking this one, but you're backloaded here for them, so it could be a little stressful.
So you want me to respond to this now, or you want me to comment on it later?
Let's just respond to it now. Let's just do that.
Yeah, so I do not have an official selection for the purposes of the gun to your head segment. I will be on Ohio State. I don't. The reason that this is not a pick for me is I still feel like I don't really know who either of these teams are. We saw Penn State go on the road, an extremely emotional spot for the Gophers. They got their punched in the mouth in the first couple of quarters. They did respond, and then the Gophers were able to seal the deal. There's been some times where I watch the first quarter of these Ohio State games, and they are scoring just literally at will. If you kept the starters in for the whole game, they could have hung. I mean, name your number, 80, 100. I feel like it is a extremely high octane offense. Mm-hmm. How many did Minnesota hang on them? 29, 34, something like that?
Yeah, I think it was 34. I could be wrong. I'll have to double check.
So, look, the Gophers are going to put up 34 on them at home. I think I think Ohio State names their number here in terms of points scored, and I agree. Rivalry game. It's for the East. Lines makers put up 18.5, and I think you're going to see a rush to the window on Penn State. I would lean Ohio State, but again, I haven't seen them play anybody. I haven't seen enough from them to get to the window with that number. I want to see them face a little adversity. But if they blow these cats out of the water, look out below.
Yeah,
playoff.
I agree. It was 31 for Minnesota, but my thing is too I don't think Clifford throws 3 interceptions. I think
maybe not.
I think he played his worst game. So that's just my thought process on it. I think 3 interceptions for a guy like him is pretty rare.
I think that's fair. So
that's my 2 cents. You want your next one?
Oh yeah, sorry. I was thinking I responded there.
You kind of did. That's the only gun to our head. So there was the gun to your head segment, folks.
Back to the well. Fuente getting right. Ooh. Don't look now, ACC Coastal or Conference or whatever stupid name they have for the other side, the non-Clemson side.
I can't even remember.
I don't know either. It doesn't matter. It's so dumb. The Clemson's just auto lock. Virginia Tech -4. Getting back to the window with them. I think they've really turned it around. I think there was something happened in that week 2 spot, and then something happened again for them in right around week 4. Bud Foster on his way out. I think he's really encapsulated the body and mind and spirit of Virginia Tech, and I think he's got the guys playing for him, and the defense has looked extremely solid the last couple of weeks. So I'll keep getting to the window with him. Like what I see here from the Hokie team. Should have beat Notre Dame.
Yeah. Next up for me, I'm staking in the Big Ten, and this is just going to be another look-ahead spot. For those of you who don't remember, This Hoosier team was actually ranked last week. This is a pretty good Indiana football team. They are plus 10 at home against the Michigan Wolverines. Obviously, huge game for the Wolverines next week. They lost to Penn State, so obviously need a couple things to happen. If Ohio State comes out on top of that game, I mean, who knows what could happen if Michigan then goes to, I believe it's in the horseshoe, if they came out with a W.
I think so, yeah.
So Harbaugh yet to beat Ohio State in his time at Michigan. You got to think that's a huge thing on his mind. This is a team that's just been starting to get it right, and I wouldn't be surprised if they start feeling confident and look ahead to that Ohio State game.
Yeah, I hear you there, and I will be watching that one as well. I'm afraid it's a square dog, but I definitely would lean that way. Final game for me, game number 6 on the card. Well, 7 if you count Georgia Tech, but if you're listening to this, it's already 1-0 winner. As far as I'm concerned, that's the kiss of death right there. I can't wait to see what North Carolina State does in the second half. Kansas State.
Yeah, jeez.
plus 2.5. Chris Kleiman, like what he's doing with the program a lot. And at Texas Tech, this is a team I've watched a couple times. Just no good, unfortunately. I'm not sold here. I like this spot. Going on the road, no respect. One of those, hey, nobody, you're going to hear him in the locker room. Nobody respects us. Let's get out there and grind out a win. I could see an ugly win here from K-State on the road, and I will take the 2.5 points against the Red Raiders in West Texas.
Ooh. We start with a head-to-head, and we end with a head-to-head, folks.
Yes!
I got the Red Raiders at home, under the lights, blackout, senior night. Emotional football is what I am betting on right here.
Fans.
What?
The only thing that's going to be blacked out is the fans.
Because it's a night game?
Yes.
Yeah, but all black uniform for Texas Tech. I'm a huge sucker for that.
You love the jerseys.
Well, because it works, Jared. Emotions play a huge part in college football.
Play good.
Yeah. Especially, in a game, like I said, senior night, under the lights. Huge game for them. I think, what's their record on the season? I don't even know. But
not good.
This is their. I'm trying to look at their record real quick, but either way, this could be their bowl game of sorts. This is how they go out on top, and for that reason, I tend to lean emotions in college football. This isn't like NFL where this is your career. This is you want it to be your career, but these are 18 to 22-year-old kids who I gotta stop saying kids. They're like 3 years younger than me. But
it's your kid. It's
fine. And I like Texas Tech in this spot. So 4-6. So if they lose this game, it could be all said and done. In
Who do they got next week?
Hook 'em. Which that would be, oh my gosh. So if Texas loses this week to Baylor, Texas will be going into that game at 6-5, and if Texas Tech wins, they'll be coming in at 5-6. Yuck.
Yeah, Tom Herman's seat's starting to heat up a little bit.
Yeah, 6-4. That's terrible. But this was a game. This will actually be a very exciting game. The matchup predictor is sitting right about 53% Kansas State. I think a lot of people are going to jump on K-State. I wish I pulled it up, but I think this line had to have been a little bit more in favor of Texas Tech, and that had to have been getting knocked down because people don't watch a lot of Kansas State football out there.
I do.
I know you do, but because that's the kind of football you and I like to watch. But I'm saying the public, Joe Schmo, all they see is, oh my gosh, Kansas State beat Oklahoma. Why are they dogs to Texas Tech? And they're going to be smashing it. So
I hope not.
See, both these teams averaging 31 points a game. I think it'll be a slow-paced game. It'll be fun. I mean, Texas Tech
they got
almost
players.
won.
Kansas State arrow pointing up. Telling you right now.
Yeah, I mean, and Tech almost beat Baylor in Waco. It took double OT, so they got talent too.
That's the Big 12 for you.
Yep.
Bunch of mediocre teams.
Mediocrity is the name of the game.
Yeah, at least they're better. At least they're all mediocre. The ACC is just like all bad.
And Clemson.
Well, right.
Yeah, it's true. So it's gonna be another fun weekend. Obviously, this is Cupcake Week in SEC country, so we are leading up to big rivalry weekend. We'll have a.
You gonna be in the house?
No,
you coming up again, or are you done?
No, we did our one trip. We did our 2 trips, really. I mean, we went to Florida and then Georgia. So I'm 0-2 this year. I don't want to.
You suck. Don't come.
Push it any further than I have. So I'll watch this one on the TV. On the telly.
Watching it on the telly?
Yeah. Outdoors, yeah. Try and take in the sun. Anyway, it's going to be fun. College football, sadly, though, almost out of the way. A couple housekeeping things. We will be getting together a bowl pick'em, so more of that to come after college football regular season wraps up and those get placed. So that information will be coming. Probably throw some candy in there.
Look out early December. Because we'll be, I think the first games are like on the 12th.
Yeah. So it's going to be holidays coming fast this year. Cooking. Not a lot of time to breathe. It's short between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So enjoy it. We will talk to you after the weekend. Enjoy your football, junkies. We're out of here.
See ya.